Traffic Crash and Casualty Situation Report from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, shows that from January to March 2022, the country recorded 3,932 road crashes involving 6,587 vehicles and 712 pedestrian knockdowns. Out of that number, 734 persons lost their lives, while 4,025 persons sustained various degrees of injury. The 2022 record represents a decrease of 1.92% over the cases recorded in 2021. The board chairman of the National Road Safety Authority, Mr. Jermaine Nkrumah, said the authority is doing its best to check road accidents in the country. The acting regional commander of MTTD in the Greater Accra region, Superintendent Joseph Appiah, advised drivers to respect road traffic regulations for the safety of Ghanaians. The Deputy Minister for Transport, Mr. Hassan Tampuli, said government is committed to reducing road crashes by 50% in line with the United Nations target.
The basic thing for us to do as a people and also as road users is to change our behavior and adopt safe road use practices. We cannot continue to watch on as our people perish on the road through no fault of theirs.
Speaking on behalf of commercial drivers, the welfare secretary at the New Plant Station in Accra, Mr. Kasim Al-Hassan, said they would hold a meeting to educate the drivers on the road safety campaign. The acting director general of the NRSA, Mr. David Osafo Adonting, said the authority is intensifying a Stay Alive safety campaign through the media and outreach activities to keep reminding the general public of the need to stay alive.
As we speak around Easter and go one-on-one with the drivers, we are going to leave here with this program, but we are not gone. Our men are here, branded and engaging the drivers one-on-one at all times, speaking to them. Beyond that, we are going to populate the road space all the way from here to Kwawu and all the areas on the road network to see the drivers, talk to them and engage them.
The Stay Alive campaign is an individual and collective obligation to be more conscious, more involved, more responsible and more accountable, to accept full responsibility for fatalities rather than to attribute them to the work of the devil.
The Ghana Police Service has launched a special operation compliance to road traffic regulation by motorcyclists. The operation, dubbed Police Action Against Rider Indiscipline, will see a special team of police riders with body cams stationed around the major intersections and other strategic locations to monitor the activities of motorcycles. The Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alexander Obeng, throws more light on the operation.
Any traffic or road safety intervention should be data-led, and that is why since 1991 the Ghana Police Service has been the lead in churning out collated accident cases that are reported across the country for such analysis. And today, if National Road Safety Authority with these stakeholders launch the Easter campaign, I believe the pivotal information they gave was the crash report from January. It is a service that police service delivered, and that is why they launched on to read out to Ghanaians. And that attribution, I believe, was made anyway. Otherwise, it was from our desk. And that is what guides police, because policing is sometimes on our feet. It is as it's happening. What can you do? And that is why the police service has come out among other gamut of strategies that are being rolled out. Now you realize that our roads are freer. Incidence of crime is scaling down. And in terms of problems that we have in the southern third of Ghana, where the public health has become an issue in terms of road use by motorcycle, being vulnerable road users, police is positioned and is also responsible to ensure that problems that are associated with the use of motorcycle by vulnerable road users are checked. Basically, is manifested on public roads, public places. and major conflict areas, hazardous areas like junctions, be it runabouts, be it crossroad, be it T junction, particularly in Accra. We can mention Ghana Standard Authority. We can mention Zongo Junction on the J.J. Rawlings Avenue, formerly Accra Buraburi Road, for example, and on then the N6. We are talking about from Circle through Ship House right through to Ofako, on the J. Kufuor Avenue, formerly called Nsan Road, and then on the N1. And we're talking about the road from Malam Junction all the way down, and then on the Winneba Road.
A meeting has taken place at Parliament House with stakeholders on the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill and the Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2022. It was an engaging discussion on the draft bill to replace the death penalty with a life imprisonment. The Member of Parliament for Medina, Mr. Francis Xavier Susu, had earlier submitted to Parliament a private member's bill that seeks to remove the death penalty from the country's statute books.
Since 1993, Ghana has not carried out any execution, as death sentences in most cases have been commuted to life imprisonment. Statistics from the Ghana Prison Service also show that no executions were carried out in 2020. The 2020 Amnesty International Global Report on Death Penalty described Ghana as being death penalty abolitionist in practice. From records, it appears then that Ghana was gradually moving towards abolishing the death penalty. In this regard, proposals to amend laws to replace the death penalty with life sentences. In 2021, the Member of Parliament for Medina, Mr. Francis Xavier Susu, who is also the Deputy Ranking Member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, submitted a private member's bill to abolish the death penalty in the country. The meeting at Parliament House was therefore to interact with stakeholders on the draft bill. Sponsors for the proposal for the amendment of the Criminal Offences Act and the Armed Forces Act were of the view that execution is not punishment.
Executing someone because they have taken someone's life is revenge. These people that are determined to commit crime have something pushing them more than the word death.
European Commission, to qualify as a member, you must have repealed death penalty from your statutes. Now, is there evidence that having repealed the death rate or the murder rate is high in that country? And there is no evidence to that effect. So it is a myth, and we must dissolve it.
Stakeholders from the security services, academia, diplomatic community, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, and Parliament later made known their position on the matter.
If killing in any form is wrong, then it will be wrong whether it is state-sponsored or is by a private individual. I understand why it's been so difficult for the state to do a referendum to amend the death penalty, but at least that presents us, if I say us, we members of Parliament, with the opportunity to use the private members' bill to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Act that have death penalty as punishment.
If the move becomes successful, Ghana will join Sierra Leone as shining examples in West Africa and the continent as a whole in the agenda to abolish the death penalty. Rachel Quarty, GBC News, Parliament. The 14th prosecution witness in the ongoing murder trial of slain military officer Major Maxwell Adam Mahama has told the Criminal Court 1 Division of the Accra High Court that residents of Dintro Boase fled from the town after the military stormed it. The investigator in the case, Chief Inspector Samuel Ijakwa, said he could not tell if their action was in fear of what had happened, but they abandoned their own town and the army took over following the murder of the late soldier.
On Monday, April 11, 2022, while under further cross-examination from defense lawyers led by Inimado, Chief Inspector Samuel Ejakwa said the army stormed the town after the incident. However, the town was deserted due to the presence of the military. Answering why persons who were not captured on the videos were arrested, he said the arrest was made through intelligence and information received. Chief Inspector Jakwa also informed the court that all the suspects in the alleged lynching of Major Maxwell Adam Mahama were arrested and a warrant issued by the court for the arrest of those who are yet to be apprehended and publications made by the police in the public for their arrest. Major Maxwell Adam Mahama was allegedly attacked and killed by a group of youth in Dintraboase on the morning of May 29, 2017, when he was on a morning walk through the town. According to information, his alleged killers claimed to have mistaken a late soldier for an armed robber because he had a gun strapped to his waist. 22 suspects, including one female, were initially arrested in connection to the crime, but was reduced to 14 suspects during committal proceedings. The 14 suspects currently facing trial include former Assembly member of Dintraboase, Mr. William Ba. They have all pleaded not guilty to charges of murder, abetment to murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. The court, presided over by Justice Mariama Owusu, a justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting with an additional responsibility as a High Court judge after the incident. However, the town was deserted due to the presence of
Government has invested $740 million in 8 water supply projects and $1.2 million in rural water supply to improve potable water access nationwide. The projects are at various levels of implementation and expected to benefit an additional 5 million people in the water supply chain upon completion in 2023. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Cecilia Dapa, announced this in Accra on Monday when she updated the public on government's intervention in the sector to improve access.
These projects, according to the minister, include the Yendi, Tamale, Damongo, Bolgatanga, Winchi, Sunyain, Keta, and Sekendita Kradi water supply projects. The 2021 population and housing census disclosed that access to potable water was averagely pegged at 87.7% nationwide, with urban areas having 96.4% access and 74.4% for rural areas. The sanitation minister said the investment in the water supply sector reflected the government's desire to improve access by every Ghanaian in line with the Water for All agenda, and was also committed to at least provide each region with one water supply system.
These interventions in the water subsector are expected to add over 5 million beneficiaries to the national water supply chain. It is here 4.3, but when you round up everything, including rural water, we'll be getting the 5 million.
At the Meet the Press series in Accra, the minister, however, bemoaned some negative human activities that were hindering the implementation of those interventions and noted that of the 53.2 billion cubic meters of Ghana's natural freshwater endowment, only 14% was being utilized.
Our concern, I must stress, is that if we are borrowing close to $1 billion to do projects, and the raw water sources are contaminated, polluted, and the machines will be drawing in mud, where are we going, and what do we want to do with our water bodies? We have our own people mining in the river bodies and in the buffer areas, and this must stop.
The minister said there was a need for collaborative efforts to increase the number of water monitoring stations to stop such unregulated human activities. The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources would soon embark on house-to-house audit to deal with illegal water connections by individuals to prevent loss of revenue by the Ghana Water Company Limited.
Canoe owners and fisherfolk at the Tema Canoe Landing Beach have pledged their support for this year's close season. They are urging all interest groups in the fisheries sector to adhere to the good fishing practices when the season finally opens. The closed season forms part of measures by the ministry to achieve sustainable fishing.
The term closed season or biological rest period refers to the stopping of fishing during the spawning period of the fish. Data gathered by the Ministry for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Fisheries Commission and stakeholders from the previous closed season indicated that the initiative is yielding positive results. Reintroduced by government in 2019 to, among other objectives, allow recovery of the country's overexploited and depleted fish stocks, a closed season will be most successful when other types of fishing pressure are also controlled, such as the use of illegal small mesh-sized nets, light fishing, use of poisons and toxic chemicals and explosives. Some canoe owners and fisherfolk have, however, expressed concern over its implementation. According to them, the unregulated fishing activities of industrial trawlers are defeating the purpose of the closed season.
The premise fuel should not be bringing to, let me say, the fishing harbor for others to sell, because I'm saying it in a sense that some of them that are not fishermen will come and buy the fuel and be selling it a higher price to the fishermen. So the best thing for, let me say, the government to do is that, like, they should send it to, let me say, filling stations so that they will go and buy it there. I think for that place, nobody is going to sell it a higher price.
The fisherfolk urged the Ministry for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development and the Fisheries Commission to engage players in the sector to ensure the success of the exercise.
Fishermen these days embark on a fishing activity they term as scientific fishing. There's this chemical they call bio. When it is dipped into the sea, the fishes follow this bio and find themselves in another jurisdiction or country. Government should therefore ban this activity. Government should try and get rid of the metallic canoes fishermen use for fishing. In my opinion, the 1 month closed season is a very good thing, because fishermen can use this period to rest and also mend their nets.
Industry players are asking the sector minister to get on fishermen who failed to heed to the closed season directive and intensify their operations after the closed season to ensure that the gains made were not eroded by illegal fishing practices.
The Secretary of the Ghana Tuna Association, Mr. Rista Amam Amafiu, says with Ghana's quest to attain fish sustainability, there must be broader engagement with partners in the local fisheries sector who share the same ideals. He said this would help drive a reduction in illegal fishing and give local fishers a voice to build a more robust fishing sector. The tuna industry contributes over $350 million annually.
Our approach to fisheries management needs to change. Once that changes, you are then more likely to rope in a lot more people. Do more with the managers of our fishery resources, who probably would need to now go into discussions, and it should be more of broader stakeholders and we discussing that, look, these are the issues. Because you see, it's not enough to tell people not to go fishing for 1 month. There are a number of implications. There are security implications, there are local economic implications and all that. So you need a broader stakeholder consultation when you want to do some of these things and how you manage the fallout. And until we get to that level where we know that fisheries management is not a preserve of the Fisheries Commission or the Ministry of Fisheries, and that it involves broader stakeholders, including industry, probably local assembly, even Ministry of Environment, and now that you have hydrocarbon activities, you start engaging at that, you would not be able to solve a lot of the fisheries management problem.
You were watching News Hour live on GBC News, the News and Governance channel. 20 teenage mothers have been enrolled into vocational skills training in the Bolgatanga municipality of the Upper East region. This move is part of the efforts to reduce unemployment and poverty among teenage mothers through basket weaving.
The Advocacy for Social Inclusion and Girls' Education, ASIGE, established in 2016, has worked with vulnerable women and girls from 5 communities, Sumbrungu, Azensum, Bolgatanga Soy, Via, and Fio, to address challenges facing their growth and development. This is through the training of women in basket weaving and creating a market for their products, enrolling girls into vocational training, providing sensitization on sexual rights, and supplying sanitary pads to schools in both Upper East and Upper West regions. At the ASIGE Straw Basket Weaving Center, the executive director, Ms. Dorcas Apori, said her outfit is currently working with 429 women in the basket industry, training them to come out with products that meet international standards. She says, apart from the basket weaving, with a positive impact on the vulnerable women and their families, and reducing poverty and migration, her organization had been able to enroll over 50 girls who were mostly teenage mothers into vocational skills training and supported 2 teenage mothers to return into mainstream education.
This is to aid the girls to learn a skill so that we reduce the level of unemployment in the Upper East region as well as the level of poverty in the region.
The girls' education officer at the of the GES, Madam Rita Abama, was happy with the move by ASIGE. She was, however, worried about the high level of teenage pregnancy in the area.
Our advice is that parents should monitor the movement of their children. They should be able to provide for the needs of their children, and they should constantly advise them, admonish them, stay away from immoral activities.
On behalf of her colleagues, Madam Emanuela Adumbiri commended the leadership of ASIGE for the gesture. She appealed to the government to promote the production of the straw they use in the region, due it being too expensive to import from down south.
I want to thank all the people who are part of ASIGE group, especially our dear sister Dorcas and our brother Simon. That may the good Lord bless them all for what they have done.
The Bolga basket is one of the most popular traditional items from Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. And colorful baskets are made in elephant grass. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Sumbrungu.
The government says its agenda to prepare the youth through information and communications technology for a digital-driven economy remains a priority.
A Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, was co-commissioning an ICT lab for Amasaman Senior Technical Senior High School on Tuesday with Israel's ambassador to Ghana. The ICT lab forms part of Israeli government's Education for Digital Innovation project to support the government of Ghana's STEM agenda. The headmistress, Ms. Irene Okansi, was grateful for the intervention, saying it will enhance the selection of a 4th elective course for technical, visual and general arts students. She also thanked the Roads and Highways Minister, Mr. Kwesi Amoakwata, for upgrading the road infrastructure in the school. Israel's ambassador to Ghana, Madam Shlomet Sufa, said Israel is keenly supporting Ghana's digital drive.
Our Education for Digital Innovation was initiated out of our desire to align with the government of Ghana's drive to project digitalization and innovation, not only in the economy but also in the education sector.
The Deputy Education Minister, Reverend John Intim Fojo, again pointed at the government's desire to equip the youth with digital knowledge for digital transformation and economic growth.
We will no longer train people for jobs that are long become obsolete. We want to train our children to be current with the current demands and even to be prepared for future demands and what the job market offers.
Same facilities have been replicated in Tema Manhia Senior High Technical and Walewale Senior High Technical schools. Some of the schools had computer labs with inadequate or no computers. Each school received 20 laptops, a smart television for teaching and learning, a printer, 1 laptop for domain and instructor usage, and 2 Wi-Fi routers for access to internet. Each classroom has been named after one of the 7 species of the land of Israel, namely olive class at Amasaman Senior High Technical School, barley and wheat classes in Tema and Walewale respectively.
You're watching News Hour here on GBC News, your news and governance channel. We're also live on Ghana Television. We're streaming live via Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Don't go away, we'll be back shortly with business.
Hello, you're watching the business news brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN with me, Esther Eidu Ohumewu. The Youth Start initiative is expected to start next month after a formal launch by President Akufo-Addo. Speaking on GBC News program Market Avenue, the Chief Executive of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Mr. Kofi Ofosu Nkansa, said the program is a concessionary loan at a 10% interest rate.
There's a sustainability plan after the 3 years.
There's a sustainability. So if you look at the entrepreneurship ecosystem in the government sector, there are agencies like the Venture Capital Trust Fund and others, and now government is bringing board Development Bank Ghana. Once these enterprises are set up and they mature, then they will go into these agencies for support to continuously do that. But we have a monitoring and evaluation framework which we are going to use with our partners, both the hubs in the private sector and the government agencies, offices across the regions and districts. We are going to do the monitoring to ensure that beneficiaries use these funds for the purposes for which they took them, and we can get them back to support other youth. So we are just urging the youth to get ready with their businesses, get ready with their business ideas, and take advantage of these many opportunities.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has called on the government to reconsider a decision to migrate traders from the VAT flat rate scheme to the new standard rate scheme. The statement implies that the trading community finds the new standard rate scheme too cumbersome, which may force many out of business. The statement indicates that businesses will be destroyed if policymakers make payment of taxes difficult. They want a simplified tax system such as the VAT flat rate scheme, which is easy for them to understand and calculate. To GUTA's president, Dr. Obin, the VAT scheme should be either a flat rate scheme for all traders or a uniform standard rate scheme that ensures fairness and equity. Otherwise, it should be optional for the traders to choose between the VAT flat rate scheme and the new standard rate scheme. Members of GUTA, as indicated in the statement, are not willing to be migrated onto the new standard rate scheme. GUTA therefore calls on the government to carefully and seriously consider all the stated facts and act accordingly. The persistent rise in the prices of petroleum products at the pumps in the last couple of months is expected to stabilize. The chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Mr. Senyo Hosi, says such an outcome is expected as the Bank of Ghana has introduced a foreign exchange forward auction for bulk oil distributing companies, BDCs.
The move by the Bank of Ghana is also expected to help restore certainty in market trends, check inflation, and positively impact the disposable income of workers. The chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Mr. Senyo Hosi, said the step taken would help minimize currency speculations and also improve the credit confidence of suppliers. Crude oil prices have been volatile in recent weeks following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with the commodity selling at $99.19 per barrel on the international market as of Friday, April 8. This is a reduction from the highest price of about $130 per barrel in the last couple of months. This rising price of crude oil on the international market, coupled with the depreciation of the cedi, has led to high fuel prices at the pumps in Ghana. Its attendant effect has been rising inflation, which currently stands at 15.7%. Mr. Hosi said the chamber was grateful to the central bank for providing structured support to stabilize fuel price fluctuations. In an attempt to address the shortage of dollars for the local petroleum sector and also help the BDCs to meet their monthly import bill of $300 million, the BOG last week introduced a foreign exchange forward auction for BDCs operating in the country. This is intended to minimize the uncertainty of availability of foreign exchange and aid price discovery, especially for the general pricing window within the downstream sector. According to the central bank's guidelines, the FX forward auctions, which are exclusive for BDCs licensed by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, are only on a forward basis at a 30-day auction tenure of a targeted amount as determined by the bank. In the maiden auction of March 30, 2022, the central bank sold about $104.86 million above the auction target of $100 million at a rate of 7.39 cedis to $1, with the BOG cautioning all participating BDCs to fully comply with the rules and regulations governing the auction process. Mr. Hosi gave an assurance that the chamber itself would put in place mechanisms to ensure that all members complied. He would also put in place measures to eliminate a situation where any BDC would take the forex and use it for other purposes.
Let's have the interbank and commodity figures for the day. And that was Business, brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. Thanks for watching.
Good evening and welcome to the energy segment. I'm Dominic Honoji. The Bui Power Authority has handed over a mechanized borehole system to the people of Alavanyo Abehiniase in the Volta region. The authority has its Chachadu hydroelectric dam located at Alavanyo, and the water facility part of the authority's corporate social responsibility to the people.
2,440 Ghana cedis facility has an overhead water storage tank with a 5,000-litre capacity. Inaugurating it, the Chief Executive of Bui Power Authority, Mr. Kofi Jamesi, hoped the facility will help to sustain the Bui Power Authority's long-standing relationship with the communities within which it operates.
And the recognition of the importance of safe drinking water and improved health conditions, Bui Power Authority took the initiative to provide safe drinking water for the area. I am aware that this important water facility will not solve all the potable water problems in the area, but I know it will contribute immensely to improving the situation for many of our people.
The chief of Alavanyo Abehiniase, Togbe Kunde, thanked the Buiba for the gesture. He, among other requests, asked for a bigger water storage tank to store more water to avoid using the pumping machine at all times. Accompanied by some directors and staff of the authority, Mr. Jamesi also paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of the Alavanyo traditional area, Togbiga Atakura.
We now bring you some data on Ghana's power generation and export figures, as well as the water level in the Bui and Akosombo dams. That's it for the energy segment. I'm Dominic Honoji.
Hello and welcome to the health segment brought to you by kind courtesy of Lufad. World leaders have committed to saving at least a third of lives lost prematurely to non-communicable diseases by 2030. This translates into saving about 50 million people who are mainly within the ages of 30 and 69, engaging stakeholders, accelerating efforts at curbing NCDs and screening, prevention and control of NCDs are some of the concrete actions of the Global Non-Communicable Disease Compact 2020 to 2030 adopted at the International Strategic Dialogue on NCDs and SDGs held in Accra. A report by Sarah Fori.
Heart diseases, stroke, diabetes, cancer, chronic lung disease and mental health conditions are the leading non-communicable diseases, accounting for the sharp increase in the number of deaths globally. NCDs are rapidly claiming lives prematurely because they are mostly underfunded. According to the United Nations, most countries are far from the SDG targets on NCDs and the universal health coverage. Globally, only 14 countries are said to be on track, barely 8 years to the 2030 deadline. World leaders at the International Strategic on NCDs and SDGs unanimously expressed grave concern about the huge human and economic cost of NCDs and how they can contribute to poverty and inequalities, especially in developing countries.
Currently, access to medicines, diagnostics and treatment of cancers in Ghana are fraught with some challenges. These include lack of awareness of the disease, late disease presentation and diagnosis, cost of treatment, and inadequate qualified personnel and infrastructure. We have to change this narrative. We need to step up education, targeting improved awareness, prompt screening, early diagnosis and treatment by trained professionals. Parents must also be educated to report bulges, growths, and unusual symptoms in their children to health personnel. We must promote periodic regular checkups and screening for the general populace, depending on age and family history.
Investing in the screening, prevention and control of NCDs is said to be of immense benefit to lower and middle income countries, as it is capable of saving at least 1.7 billion lives by 2030. So, as co-chairs of the eminent group of advocates of the SDGs, Ghana and Norway jointly launched the Global Non-Communicable Diseases Compact 2020 to 2030.
and the Global Group of Heads of State and Government on the Prevention and Control of NCDs.
Political commitment. The new Global Compact on NCDs focuses on 5 key areas. First, by implementing cost-effective measures to prevent and control NCDs. Second, by making sure that people in humanitarian emergencies can get the medicines they need. Third, by integrating NCDs with primary health care and universal health coverage. Fourth, through comprehensive surveillance and monitoring. And fifth, by addressing mental health. There is no doubt that the global challenge of NCDs is complex and it's daunting. But we have a way forward. Together, using our collective strengths, we can change the paradigm in the prevention and control of NCDs.
This will be a concerted global effort aimed at saving millions of people from dying, too young, from diseases that could have been prevented or treated.
World leaders at the dialogue were asked to commit to protecting persons living with NCDs, especially during humanitarian emergencies where climate change and health risk have rendered people vulnerable. They are also to provide essential health services, medicine, diagnostics and health technologies for the prevention and control of NCDs. Sarah for GBC News, Accra.
The Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital at Mampo in the Ukrapim North Municipality of the Eastern Region has received the 45th infant incubator worth $10,000 each. The equipment donated by the Kukroko Charities in collaboration with the God Causes Foundation is to help the neonatal unit of the hospital to provide optimal care for preterm babies delivered at the hospital or from other referral facilities. A report by Ofuru Adagun.
Set up in February 1961, the Tetekwashi's hospital unit has saved 48 preterm babies with just a single incubator since 2019. To enhance the care for more preterm babies and save their lives at the hospital, the Kukroko Charities Foundation, with support from the Good Causes Foundation, has presented the 45th infant incubator to the Tetekwashi Hospital. The focus of the foundation is to procure 100 incubators for health facilities across the country. Founder and Chief Executive Officer of the Kukroko Charities Foundation, Mr. Kwame Sefakai, said caring for preterm babies should be a collaborative effort and an issue of concern to all to help improve neonatal care in hospitals across the country. The medical superintendent of the Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital, Dr. Albert Bennett, commended Kukroko Charities Foundation and Good Causes Foundation for the kind gesture and their role to enhance newborn care nationwide.
Now that we have this incubator, we'll be able to also take care of those that we're supposed to refer, and probably also receive other babies from other hospitals, because then now we can take care of such babies. One thing I can assure the team is that this will be put to good use. We'll take very good care of it, and when we are celebrating our next preterm babies in the hospital, we invite the team to come and see the babies that this incubator has been able to save.
Statistics from the WHO show that more than 60% of preterm births occur in Africa and South Asia. In the lower income countries, on average, 12% of babies are born too early, compared with 9% in higher income countries. Within these countries, poorer families are at higher risk. For GBC News, Ofriwa Dakon reporting.
That's all in this segment, brought to you by kind courtesy Lufat.